Welcome to the fourth episode of the Comicsbound podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Cooke, and I am joined by my other host, Lan Pitts.
What's up, Stephanie? How you doing?
We have not done this before today. We have definitely not recorded two other shows today. Not us. Right?
Definitely not.
No. We spent our previous shows were that was not good words. Our previous show was basically discussing conventions. We're discussing the season ahead, what's coming up for Comic Cons, and ways that you can basically prepare for that and enjoy that to the fullest extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we also recorded a Patreon episode for those of you who are listening to us and the things that we do on Patreon. There's things there. And we answer questions that need to be answered. Right, Lan?
Most dire.
Most dire. Our main feature for the show today is going to be a Civil War review. Now that I have finally seen it today.
Yay!
We will do it in, we'll talk about some general feels and then get into, full-on spoiler territory, just so you can hear our impressions if that's all you want to hear, and tune out afterwards if you have not yet had a chance to see the movie. So we will get to that not too long from now. But yeah, before we jump into that, we have a couple things to talk about, some comics, more on my end, and some news. I really wanted to bring up the cool news from Oni Press. You heard about their announcement that they have, I think I'm going to mess up how to say this, Limerence Press?
Right.
So basically they're launching an adult line of erotic and sex education comics, which I just think is really, really cool. I think the system, as far as sex education, is kind of broken in North America. I feel like a little maybe less in Canada. I don't know.
What was it like in Canada?
Pardon?
What was it like in Canada?
I feel like I had a pretty decent sex education experience. I feel like I was informed on things in a way not completely unlike Mean Girls, where the gym teacher's like, if you have sex, you will get chlamydia and you will die. If you have sex, you will get pregnant and you will die. I feel like we had a pretty good system for the most part. I don't know what it's like in the USA.
I don't know because I'm also from the South, so...
So that's just not a thing.
It was what it was, but it could have been better.
Okay. We had pregnant girls in high school and stuff. That's still a thing that happened.
Yeah.
So, hormones are still a raging up here in Canada. It's a thing.
Hopefully were you one of them? I'm guessing not.
I have 3 children, actually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, all of them were born from the age of 15 to 17. Yeah, I was really busy as a teenager.
Man, you were open for business. Damn.
No, but really, I just have cats that I'm allergic to. But that being said, I think that this is a really positive step forward to make comic books more accessible for people who maybe don't have as much access to sexual education as they may need or want. I think that this is really, really cool. And I think, having an imprint that's also dedicated to having erotic comics is great as well, because it's making it the subject not taboo. It's having people discuss sex in a positive, enriching environment. And I think that's incredibly, incredibly positive. I think that's a good thing. But yeah, they're going to be launching printed editions of Ojoy Sex Toy by Erica Moen and Matthew Nolan. What else? There's a lot of that so far.
I think the printed edition for Ojoy Sex Toy was one of the big announcements on that, though.
Yes, which is a really popular webcomic that does have sort of, I think, like zine editions.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be in these really cool printed editions from Oni, and more specifically from Limerence. So that was something that happened this week, and I wanted to kind of give Oni a really cool props for doing that, because that is something that is very much needed, I think, in the mainstream. So good job on them. I feel like not that much happened otherwise in the last week, but maybe I've just been very busy.
Well, partially. I mean, yeah, I didn't really think anything else. We did have, last week was Punisher and Thunderbolts, and this week will be, what did I read? I think I read Batman number 52, which is the last of the
Rebirth.
Right. Before the Rebirth, yes.
I didn't call it the bad name.
No, Before the Rebirth. And I read that, and that was phenomenal. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've had time with. I've been dealing with a sinus infection for, like, it feels like a year. I know it's only been, like, maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks, but it just feels like forever and ever. And I feel like one day I'm just going to wake up with pneumonia. It's gotten to that point. So I have an ex who worked for the CDC, and I gave her some options. What would she recommend? And she actually quoted me back and said, Neti Pot. Neti Pot, best thing fucking ever, forever. Do it. And so borrowed a Neti Pot and tried it, and it just, I mean, obviously I cleaned it before it's somebody else's Neti Pot, and so I cleaned it and then used it, and aside from the acute drowning sensation, it really has helped with just clearing out my nose. And I don't know, I guess I feel like I'm a convert to this, because I can't imagine, like, doing anything else.
Okay, I feel like I'm going to have to look into this. I don't think I've ever heard of this beforehand.
You don't know what a Neti Pot is?
I mean, I feel like I should, now that you're saying it with such a dramatic tone.
I guess. I don't know. Like, at first sight, when you're like, this is what you do, you basically put a tea kettle, a small, like, tea kettle filled with, like, water and, like, saline solution. You basically fill it with salt water. And you put it up your nose, and then you tilt your head. And then so the water runs down your through your sinus and navel cavity to the other side, rinsing it out.
I don't like it. Ugh.
Watch a video.
I feel like I watched a video of this on Grey's Anatomy and someone died. Because that's totally realistic. You know what? We won't go there.
Man.
I feel like I would be frightened of this for some reason. I don't know why. I just don't want to stick things up my nose.
I've been frightened I already hate the water as is.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Water in a pool is fine because you can see the bottom. But, like, I just don't like water. So, I already have, like, this whole thing, this already stigma in the back of my mind, like, you're going to drown doing this. You're going to just drown and suffocate yourself. So doing it the first time was definitely intimidating. But I've done it like twice today, and it's almost nothing now. There is some backwash. You do get some salt water down your throat on the occasion if you breathe wrong, but I mean, because you're dripping it down through your sinus cavity and everything, so you do get some down your throat. But I feel better. I don't blow my nose as much.
Okay.
Because everything is like, it all just comes out.
Okay. Well, I believe in you. I will try this the next time I have a horrific sinus infection. And speaking of horrific sinus infections, comics. You briefly touched on the fact that you read Batman. I have not. I read
tomorrow. It doesn't come out till tomorrow.
Well, I'm going back to it for a second because I really want to get caught up, but like I don't know, like I haven't felt like super compelled. I got lost after the year zero stuff. Like I was just like, or the 0 year, whatever it was called.
0 year. I think 0 year was what the book should have started with.
See, but I mean, arguably, sure. I fell off of Batman though, like during that. Like I was just like, do not want. And then what was the arc after that? Was that? It was the Joker stuff that happened again.
Death in the Family.
No.
Death of the Family.
No. That happened before the 0 year. There was another Joker thing.
Endgame? You're talking
yes,
about
Endgame. Thank you.
Okay.
I did not read Endgame. I was just like, nope, done. Tapping out. But then I jumped back on for the Mr. Bloom stuff that came after that and like was like really enjoying it. So I'm tempted to pick this up and see if I like it. But it's coming to an end. So, with issue 52, poetic on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely.
But yeah. So without spoiling anything, what were like some of the highlights of Batman 52?
Well, it's written by James Tynion IV and a slew of good people. Brian Level, Ed Brisson, I want to say, no, not Ed Brisson. I get his name confused with Riley Rosmo. Just the S's kind of trick my brain. And it's sort of like, I don't know, it feels like it just kicks things off into an entirely new direction, but still honing in on those Batman familiar elements that we know, and that we've grown to know from the Snyder and Capullo stuff. It's a completely different art style from what most people are familiar with, and I think it looked great. I think Tynion really, for all the praise that Scott Snyder gets, I think a lot of the praise I think Tynion needs to pick up some of that praise along the way. He's done an excellent job of just capturing what I think fans love about Gotham City and the Bat family. And so I'm really looking forward to what he does with Detective and his ragtag team of bats and clay people.
I like it. I'm definitely curious. I really think now that it's kind of all come to an end, I'll go back and catch up on what I didn't read. But I fell off. I'm sorry, Batman. The one thing that I did read this week that I was like really excited about, and I feel like you're not excited about the fact that I'm talking about this, but I read Scott McCloud's The Sculptor.
But that came out like 2 years ago.
It didn't. It came out last year. Thank you.
It feels like forever.
It came out last year. You curmudgeon. But I don't know how I avoided this. I didn't mean to. But I finally got around to reading it, and I really enjoyed it. I leafed through it several times at a few different bookstores, and I don't know why it didn't catch me. I feel like it's really daunting in that hardcover. Like, it just seems really gigantic, and I was not wanting to commit myself to that. But I got myself a digital copy of it, and I sat down, and it took me a couple days, which I feel like I haven't done. Like, usually I read through something in a night or so. And I sat with this, and I really loved it. I don't know if I loved the ending, but I won't spoil that for anyone. But I loved the journey. So for anybody who doesn't know what The Sculptor is kind of about, it basically follows this guy who wants to be a famous sculptor. And he's kind of at his rock bottom. He's a loser. He is like, he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have kind of any prospects in sight for what he wants to do. And somebody basically offers him basically all of his hopes and dreams, but he only has X number of days to live out those dreams. So he needs to create his art and do something worthwhile with his life in that time with the gift he's been given. Like, basically, if he was in the X-Men, his X-Men power would be to be creating really cool statues. So he does all of these things and just kind of, he's trying to also kind of find himself along the way, because he's kind of this selfish, douchey dude who doesn't really know how to find what he wants in life, and he doesn't know how to convey what he really wants out of his art because he doesn't know his heart of hearts. But the art is really beautiful. It's sort of, I'd never read anything Scott McCloud before. So it's sort of like cartoony and sort of manga-ish in some ways. It's like manga meets like Brian Lee O'Malley, like Scott Pilgrim meets just the general kind of small press cartoony comic book feel to it. But I really enjoyed the story. I liked the love story. I loved the art. I loved the message. And I was really happy that I sat down and finally consumed this. I know you did not have the same emotions.
Not at all.
What? Why?
Because you going back to how he was so douchey, I just felt like it was the point where it was just too much. It's just too much, I think. And it was weird because I had heard about it from other pros, and some were conflicted on it. But it was Gaiman's endorsement that made me think, oh, I definitely want to try this out. And was just so disappointed by a lot of things, which is surprising because I like McCloud's style as a whole, just story-wise, and how the beats worked. Just, I don't know, characterization just was not what I like in a protagonist. And I don't know, just thought it had an aura of pretentiousness to it. Just a lot of things that just, I don't know, it feels like it's been out for much longer than just a year, but I just not a fan.
I get that. Was there anything that you did like from it, though? Like, I mean...
Yeah, like I said, I love McCloud's styling. I like what he brings to the table as an artist and storyteller. Just that story being told just wasn't for me. I
mean, the character isn't the most lovable, the lead character. Like, you really kind of hate him a lot of the time. So I feel you.
Right. And I mean, there's going to be books where the main character is insufferable, but I don't know. I just felt like there was a point to where I bounced.
That makes sense. But other than that, like, I mean, I didn't read a ton this week, so I just wanted to mention the Sculptor. Mm-hmm. I will get back on track for next week. In my heart of hearts, I truly believe this. But I did go see Civil War, as I mentioned earlier. And we are going to be talking a lot about that today. I'm pretty stoked. You obviously saw it a long time ago. Did you see it on the weekend as well?
I did. I saw it Thursday with my crew, and we loved it. So
we're going to start talking about Civil War because, that's what the bulk of the show is going to be. So we will go over our general thoughts and just keep it spoiler free. And we will give you a heads up when you should tune out. Okay, so you are safe from spoilers. We will not say spoilery things. If we do, I will use my ability to edit. Basically, we're going to get into our general kind of feels about it. Lan, you have seen it already. You saw it a second time.
I'm seeing it again this weekend, apparently.
You're seeing it for a third time. So what, in non-spoilery terms, how did you feel that this ranked compared to, other MCU...
In the MCU hierarchy or in comic book movies in general?
Let's say the MCU hierarchy.
It's pretty high. I wouldn't rank it above Winter Soldier or Guardians, but it was pretty high just for the spectacle. I will give them kudos because that was a lot of threads and a lot of things to weave into a cohesive story, and they did it pretty well. Okay. I feel like there's a lot of things to touch on, but it's not a standalone movie. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the problem becoming more and more of a problem with the MCU. It's not a standalone story. True, this is part, 3 of the Captain America series, but you basically needed to see 3 more movies before this one.
Yeah, it's definitely not a movie you can just watch for the sake of watching.
No, you needed to see Winter Soldier, Ant-Man, and Avengers 2.
Yep, 100%. They just expect that you have seen all of those things. It's not something you can just jump in on and be like, hey, this is a thing that I want to watch. You will be so lost. In my opinion.
I went with somebody who hadn't seen them and who just saw Winter Soldier for the first time, and she did not realize that Vision was an android. She is also blind, but she had descriptive audio. But yeah, it was a sort of, we explained things afterwards, and she's like, oh, there's no indication. I was like, yeah, I know, you kind of you need to see these other 2 movies to make sense, but she got the gist of it, and that's the important thing too. She still enjoyed herself.
That's good. I feel sad and happy, that this is where we are in the MCU. I really love that we have this incredible universe set up in the movieverse. I love that this is a thing. I think it's so cool that we are living in the golden age of comic book movies when the best of the best are being released.
I don't know if we're in the golden age. I feel like...
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like we're in the Bronze Age at this point.
Well, I feel like there'll be a downward slope of anyways, but regardless, I think that it's really cool that they're at least starting to be taken seriously and these really cool movies are being made, and I'm getting to live my sort of youthful days enjoying those and seeing these be made. But then I think that it's also sad that you can't just take somebody to this movie. I love that they're so intertwined and there's so much thought going into these movies. But, cool it. Make these one-off things. Make more Guardians of the Galaxy type movies. Come on. I know Black Widow is very possibly, probably, strongly considered for the future. But, how is that not a thing already? I want to see more of the one-off movies and kind of things that we can all just jump into and enjoy instead of these movies that tie in everything together super tight-knit. This thing is this super tight in.
Right, but that's comics to a degree, but I feel like, again, yeah, these are sequels to sequels to sequels, but that's the problem. This is, in the timeline of things, that's just how it works, because you don't know how Ant-Man is tied to things. You don't know how, what's the deal with Bucky in general, or the addition to Scarlet Witch and Vision, because they were, So, yeah, I just feel like it can be daunting for people who are like, oh, where do I start? And oh, well, if you just want to go see a movie with us, just go see a movie, and then... I don't think my mom would get a lot of Civil War. She would have fun, but I don't think she'd understand a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, going back to sort of my general thoughts on the movie, I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. But I feel like such a curmudgeon, but like, I don't know. I had some problems with it. You know, like I don't love the Civil War storyline. I think that it's dumb. It's just dumb. And the fact that they kind of, well, they straight up base the whole movie off of it. And it's just
not the whole movie.
Not the whole movie, but it's the catalyst for a lot of things. And I really hated that aspect of it. Like, not disliked, hated. There's a lot of cool things that they do outside of the Civil War line. Obviously, this isn't a spoiler because you see Spider-Man in the trailer, but I loved Spider-Man. I loved that sort of stuff there with him. But, I mean, like, the Civil War stuff needed to violently die. It was just so... fart noise. I don't know what else to kind of say in terms of that, but like without kind of getting into like spoilery territory. So I'll come back to that in a minute. But you know, it's the pacing for me was a bit off in general, but because of that, I feel like you briefly mentioned, they try and cram a lot of story into this movie, and it does work overall, but like I feel like that works as a one-time thing. Like I feel like I would get really antsy seeing this in theaters a second time, knowing that this is just going to drag on for like another hour and a half after they get to this one point. I will go into that in the spoiler section. But do you have any things you want to add that are non-spoilery, Mr. Landon?
Tom Holland is great as Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was.
Tom Holland is great as Peter Parker.
I'm sad because I really do like him as Peter Parker, and I really wish it was Miles Morales, though. I really, in my heart of hearts, think that it was time for Miles Morales, and that they really did a missed opportunity there. I get they want to bring Spider-Man back, like, to Marvel in, like, this big way, and have it be Peter Parker, but, like, come on. Miles would have been so cool.
I love Paul Rudd.
Oh my God, yes.
I will support Paul in anything that he does.
He was, like, the actual best. And, like, and again, this is just him being quippy, but, like, he's like, ooh, Captain America. Ooh, hey, I know you too. You're great. Like,
well, I thought at one point, I thought he was going to go in for a hug.
Oh my God. Yes. He's so funny. And he's basically just being Paul Rudd. Like, it's not him being Scott Lang. It's, like, Paul Rudd playing Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. Like, that's just him.
But that's how it works. But
it's fun. He adds a lot of comedy to the movie. And admittedly, they're pretty good. Marvel's pretty good at doing that in the first place and, like, making it pretty lighthearted and kind of adding in comedic bits. But, like, Paul Rudd really helped with that. And, like, especially the fight scenes, they're epic, but they're not overly stuffy. And I feel like most of that is because of Peter Parker and Ant-Man. And by Peter Parker, I mean Spider-Man. Why didn't I just say that? Spider-Lad.
Spider-Lad.
Yeah. I'm out of non-spoilery things to say. I give this...
Well, how awesome was Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa?
Oh my God, yes. Like, so good. So good. And, like, that...
He's the Disney prince we all deserve.
I know. Did I really just say that, but? Oh boy. Yep, I did. That's cool. I've done that. That's cool. Yeah. Did you see the interview with Chris Evans also, where he was just like, I feel like in this scene, my shirt would be off.
Yes, I did see the, yeah.
And they're like, there's no way that your shirt would be off in this scene. And he's like, but can we make it happen? And they're like, no, keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on, Chris. And like, I love that. I love that.
He works hard for his body.
There's this one scene where, you know what? We'll go into spoilers in a second, and I will talk about this. So if you haven't seen Civil War and you don't want to be spoiled, this is the time to tune out, disappear, go away. We love you. Please tune back in next week. But for now, tune in after you see the movie. This is your final warning. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers! Okay, so there's that scene where he's like holding on to the helicopter that Bucky's trying to take off in, and he's holding on to the helipad.
Yeah, that was in the trailer.
I don't know. I didn't watch the trailers, Lan. I didn't want to be spoiled. And but he's just like it's like this gratuitously long scene of his chest. Like he's just like,
Chris Evans is 90% chest.
That's really true. It's amazing. I love him. Also, Black Panther's bum. You're welcome for that. Okay, so do you have some spoilery thoughts on it? Would you like to say Giant Man 50 more times?
I would like to say Giant Man because that's not a spoiler. It was everywhere.
It wasn't everywhere.
It was like the worst kept secret.
It wasn't.
It was like the worst kept secret. It was so great though, because literally like before I got talking about it, I wanted 2 things from the movie, and I got both of them. I wanted Hawkeye and Ant-Man to do a team up, and to have Giant Man, and I got both of those, so I was happy. I don't care. Like, Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman was amazing. I felt if we're going to do nitpicky things, I have a couple of nitpicky things. One, no strictly identifiable music. I think Marvel doesn't have that down.
Well, that's not really true. There are definitely, I noticed a couple things, like especially with Cap. Cap,
yes. Not a lot of people, but I feel like it just doesn't have... I don't know. I felt like this needed to have just better music. And I know that's really weird to say. Also, Spider-Man was like 95% CGI of the time. And that was really weird. Especially when he didn't need to. Like, he's just standing there. Like, when he catches Bucky's fist, again, in the trailer, he's CGI when he's just standing there. And that just feels really, really weird to me.
But I think it's the suit choice. Like, I
like the costume. I think it fits well into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I get that. But I mean, I feel like the suit itself was essentially CGI to be
yeah.
So, like, I mean, the eyes, obviously, and everything. So, like, that. Yeah. I like how Peter explains his spider sense and how everything is just overstimulating. So his goggles, like, sort of keep things focused. It's dialed up to 11?
Yeah, I like everything like that. One thing I kind of wish story-wise was after the whole incident, I wish he had done something else with Alfre Woodward's character in the beginning. I feel like that's such a really weird role for such a high-profile actress that they didn't.
Oh, yeah.
That they didn't go back to it and sort of like, he could talk about his mom.
I hated that scene.
Something to tie things together. Why did you hate that scene?
I mean, you're talking about the scene where she's saying, like, her son's dead, right?
Yeah, that's Alfre Woodward.
I hated it. I hate that he's dead and I blame you. Oh, please. Like, I do not like the Civil War, like, plot line at all. But, like, let's be real.
Was she wrong?
Yes, 100%. Because if it weren't for them, a ton of other people would be dead too.
They were fighting. So that was the thing where they were fighting each other.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I just think that's dumb. Like, that's not a fair argument to make when so many other people would be dead in place of them. Like, if they weren't there. So, like, that's something that just kind of irked me. Because, like, that's the catalyst to setting off the whole Civil War thing. And Tony being like...
that was the catalyst. Yeah, and absolutely.
I hate that. I hate that's the thing that Tony's like... Oh, this is going to make me never listen to my friends, my most trusted people ever. Like, Cap's trying to tell me things like, oh my god, Bucky's been framed, but I'm, like, too self-absorbed that, like, because this woman that I don't know said this thing to me, I am now going to set off an entire civil war.
He's not too into himself. It's the fact that he's already said, he's already told Steve, I don't trust you completely.
I hate it, Lan.
He said that in Avengers. He's like, I don't trust you. I don't trust somebody without a dark side. And he's like, there's still something about you that I like you as a friend, and we're teammates, but this is not permanent.
I felt also like the Civil War storyline was kind of this unnecessary neener to DC. Like, it didn't really necessarily fit into the story as a whole, in my opinion. Like, I feel like you could have done a lot better of a film without this. But it felt like they were addressing the things that happened in Man of Steel that weren't summed up in Batman versus Superman. Like, I feel like they were like, well, let's answer all of these questions of like what happens when you destroy a city, what happens to the heroes in the wake of this. And I don't think that was answered very well in Batman versus Superman, and Marvel had this like dying to like get their hands in the cookie jar moment where they just wanted to have their say and be like, look at us, we can answer this. And I don't know, like, it just felt like it was a completely separate movie. Like, half of the movie feels like Avengers 2.5.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's what it is.
And then it doesn't feel like a Captain America movie to me. Like,
well, I mean, it's still Cap-centric with him and Bucky. It does continue Winter Soldier's story.
But there's a lot of digression from that. Like, a lot. Like, to me, it's much more of an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie.
Right.
And while that's cool in theory, I just, like, I would have preferred to see a Captain America story. Because, like, when Marvel started with Phase 1, I didn't anticipate Captain America being my favorite of the character movies.
They're the best ones made.
But I didn't anticipate that. Like, going in and knowing what was coming out, those were not the movies that I was most excited for. Because, like, I felt like Captain America, it would be very rah, USA. And in Canada, I mean, like, that's cool, and, like, the rest of the world, but, like, I didn't want to hear sort of that sort of, like, propaganda feel to the film thrown at me. But that wasn't what it was. Like, it was very much, like, exactly what he says in the film. Like, he just doesn't like bullies. He's not out to fight for any particular side. He just wants to fight for the side that is doing what he thinks is the right thing. And
is it called Captain America in Canada?
No. Yes, of course it is.
I don't know. In Germany, the thing's just called the First Avenger.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In Europe, it's the First Avenger: Civil War.
Oh, I didn't know that. But again, like, my point being is, like, I didn't anticipate those movies being my favorite. But I mean, Winter Soldier is very much like a Cap and Natasha movie, and I liked the continuation of that in Civil War. Like, I liked those really human moments that Natasha has with Steve, and the things that make you realize that she's not as like, completely kind of shut off to the people around her. Like, she has a lot of feelings, and while she's very good at compartmentalizing all of that, she still wants to do right by those she cares about. And I thought that was a really awesome thing to continue putting in the movies. yeah, I'm like looking at my notes. I seriously sat in the theater writing notes because I'm totally that nerd. Like having crossbones was a cool callback to Winter Soldier too. Although I don't think they did a great job initially of kind of telling us who that was, like until the end of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so creeped out by young Robert Downey Jr., like young Tony Stark. I was just like, ugh, do not like. I mean, I do like, he's dreamy, but like also it was weird. Yeah.
Right, because of like what we can do with CGI now. We can just put a whole new face on another person.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Sweater vest vision, best vision. Just saying. These are things I literally wrote down in the theater. Like, sweater vest vision, ? Best vision? Yeah, my notes are awesome. So the one really weird thing was, you know, the main villain-y dude who's kind of, I still have, Zemo?
Yeah, Baron Zemo. Yeah.
When he's like...
Baron Helmet Zemo.
When he's getting the book from that dude who was in hiding, I love that he has him like tied up in this like water basin, but like in every shot of that water basin, like his nose and mouth are like above where the basin would fill to. Like there was no way that he would drown from that situation. But then like he's like turns on the water, very intimidating like again, and then all of a sudden he's like, take me water. Like what? No. That's not how drowning works. That's not how drowning works. You can't drown yourself. That's not a thing.
I don't know. I want to know your history on trying to drown people, Stephanie, and what's the schematics and mechanics of trying to drown somebody.
No, not somebody. You can't drown yourself. Like, you can't be like, oh, I can plausibly, like, have my nose and mouth above water. And this is not a threatening situation, but I'm going to choose to drown myself. You just can't. You physically can't. So, anyways, but Black Panther, like that first scene when you get Black Panther fighting.
Yeah.
Man, jaw drop.
Pretty great.
It's pretty great. I just have like a lot of really random notes at this point. I was not okay with Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. I don't know how I missed that memo. Like, what is happening? Why are you Aunt May?
She was cast a while ago.
I don't like it. I don't know why I don't like it, but I don't like it.
I love it.
I love Marissa Tomei. Let me say that. I do not love her as Aunt May. I mean, she was funny. She was great.
But I mean, she's in her 50s.
I don't know.
That's kind of like how it works.
I felt like they just put it in there so that Tony Stark could make hot aunt jokes.
I mean,
that was
we can't call her Aunt Bay?
Oh, no? Boy, no. Oh, what? Is that a thing, or did you just make that a thing?
Oh, no, I've been trying to make that a thing for a while.
Okay. I mean, I wish I liked more things with this film. Like, I wish that they had one focus. Like, I really, really, really liked the Bucky, Cap, like, Baron Zemo shenanigans. I just didn't like the Civil War stuff. Like, that just, aside from, like, the really cool fights that you kind of got from it, I wish that it had just been more of a singular focus. That's all I got.
I think we're going to get Thunderbolts.
You think so?
Zemo's on the raft. Ross is on the raft. Captain America's gone rogue. Ross owns everything Avengers related. And you have these soldiers that are in isolation. They could be dead, but who knows? They could also be very much alive. And I just think Ross is vain enough to form his own team. And who knows? We could get Red Hulk.
That'd be cool.
So,
this is a digression back to the film, but I really love that thing where Tony basically tells Nat that T'Challa, like, tattled on everyone. Like, he's like, T'Challa totally tattled on you to Ross, like, to, like, Natasha. Like, what a dick. I really love his character, I do. But I like how he was like, meh, no. She turned on me.
She did.
That's what she does.
I mean, I mean, she's not a complete monster.
I also really, really love that. This was an unnecessary scene, in my opinion, but it was also really funny. So, like, I am, like, 50-50 on it. But, like, the Cap Sharon moment, like, he's like, ooh, I've just found out that you're Peggy's niece. Let's make out awkwardly. But, I mean it's not like that at all, really. But, like,
no.
I love when Bucky's in the car. He's like, can you move your seat up? He's like, no. And then, like, they're just sitting there so, like, bro-like when he kisses and he, like, looks over and they're both like, yeah, dude, what up? Like,
it's had a lot of humor and a lot of heart, and you can tell
Bucky's
with
like,
that
I'm
with these
questionably
characters.
still evil, but, like, dude, I feel that. I feel it. It's good. Yeah. So, all right. You said this is, like, let's talk Captain America hierarchy here. Where does this rank?
2.
Okay. This is 3 for me.
Winter Soldier is still better. It's a better movie.
For me, this is like Winter Soldier, First Avenger, and then this. Like, this is...
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I liked First Avenger better than I liked this.
First Avenger's great, but Civil War and Winter Soldier just amp it up.
I see, if they hadn't had so much Civil War stuff, I would 100% be on this, like, choo-choo train with you, but, like, no. Do not want. So, yeah. That's my hierarchy of this. Yep.
Where do you put this in, like, the MCU scale?
Oh, it's definitely not one of my favorites. Like, it would be down there. Like,
damn.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I feel like Winter Soldier is, like, my favorite. Then, like, Guardians of the Galaxy. And then, like, First Avengers. And, like, Thor. And all this stuff. Like, there's several movies down before I would get to this. Like, there's a lot of really fun moments in this movie. And I laughed a lot. And I enjoyed myself while I was watching it. But for me, this doesn't have a lot of rewatchability. Like, it does. I will definitely watch it again. But, like, there was parts, even in my first watch, when I felt like it dragged. And there are a lot of Marvel movies that I do love that don't have those moments for me. So.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't take offense to it. It's your opinion. You know, it's okay to not like things, Stephanie.
Okay. I'm just Canadian. I have to apologize for everything.
That is very true.
But I think, unless you have some more thoughts on this, that's going to more or less kind of sum up our Captain America feels. I
have plenty of thoughts. Like, that whole movie is a character piece on their next wave of franchises. I mean, you had Black Panther's bodyguard. Their name escapes me off the top of my brain right now because I'm...
Oh, the chick.
The chick? Oh,
I know.
No.
Shut up. Shut up. You called her bodyguard. Like,
that's what she is.
But, like, that moment where he's like, as great as this would be when he's like talking
she
about the
goes
fight.
Move or be moved. And I think that's really good. Yeah. No, Natty was going to get decked. She was going to get decked and told as much. So, yeah. I don't know. I felt that was a great thing, especially like a lot of the things we get to see in Black Panther. We get to see a lot of the how Wakanda works. We get to see. Hopefully, we'll get to see the Panther God, because the statue at one of the post-credit sequences was
Panther God.
The Panther statue, which the Black Panther prays to the Panther God to get his Black Panther powers. Like, it's a mysticism. It's a mystic ritual that father-son go-through. Like, it's a whole thing, so...
Alright. Yeah. It's good. It's cool. It's gotta be good. I'm excited for that movie. I really want the Black Panther movie, like, now. I want that right now. What's the next MCU movie we have coming?
Strange in November.
Oh, and then after that, like, what's the one that we haven't seen trailers for so far?
Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, that's next summer?
No, next summer is Spider-Man. Next summer Spider-Man, and then I think Avengers Infinity War in 2017? I want to say, because...
Well, we have to have an Avenger, or like a movie next year.
Well, yeah, that's Spider-Man next year.
But it's not Marvel. That's the Sony...
Yeah. No, it's Marvel. It's part of the MCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do we have to see Uncle Ben die again?
I hope not. I don't think so.
Good God, please no.
I think, like, if there's one... I'm trying to figure out, like, who's died more times on screen.
The Waynes.
Like,
100% the Waynes.
Or the Waynes, or, like, Hitler in World War II documentaries. Like, it's kind of up there.
Yeah. No,
how many times he's died.
All right. Well, I'm calling this. That's all our thoughts on Captain America. That's not all our thoughts. Lan has a lot more thoughts, as he clearly...
No, maybe we could do a Patreon episode where we expand on it.
Maybe we could do that. We do, as I think I briefly mentioned at the beginning, have a brief, like 10-ish minute episode where you can get to know Lan and I a little bit better with some fun flash round works, lightning round questions that we thought up. Yeah, flashbacks. You can listen to that now if you are a subscriber to any tier, because we're luring you in. We're luring you in. It'll later be one of our higher tiers, but for now, you can listen with just $1. Just $1. Let's see, what else? We've got our first special edition panel podcast coming out on Friday this week. That's going to be on Comic-Con 101. So basically going over how to survive a convention. If you've never been, we give some tips and pointers on how to do that and go over a number of things in about a 45-minute episode that you can listen to, that you can share with friends who want to know more about Comic-Con, all that good stuff. As for us, we will be back, the main show, on Tuesday next week, or Wednesday. We'll be recording Tuesday next week. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, basically anywhere that you can get podcasts. Comicsbound exists and is a thing. So make sure you're subscribing, sharing, reviewing, tuning in, and letting us know what you think. Collectively, you can get in touch with us via Rogues Portal on Twitter, or on our Facebook, facebook.com/roguesportal. Individually, you can find me and Lan on the Twitters mostly. I'm at Hello Cookie. Lan?
I'm at Pitstoff.
But yeah, that's going to do it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed our review of Captain America Civil War, Avengers 2.5. And let us know what you thought of Captain America Civil War on the Twitters or other cool places where you can find us. And until next time, stay weird.